Hi, welcome to Liz Elsmore Yoga. I'm Liz, and I'm so grateful to have you here today to join me for a little light practice. We're going to start right away with just a little bit of movement. I'd like to invite you to check in wherever you're at, whether you are in a seat on your mat or on your back, but find something comfortable, and we're going to move through a small check-in. Maybe shrug the shoulders up to your ears and maybe drop them back down. Take some time to move through your shoulders, both forward and back, both directions, together, as slowly or fast as you like. And while you're here for just a few more moments, notice in your body any sensations, anything that might show up for you today. And after another moment or so, maybe come on back to center or neutral. Before we get started with our breath work, I'd like to invite you to bring some props into your practice if you'd like. The props that we use in yoga are often blocks and a blanket. So here we have blocks. If you don't have blocks at home, some sturdy books will work perfectly. I have a blanket folded up underneath my hips, and you're welcome to use something like that as well. A blanket is really useful to elevate the hips, and anytime you elevate the hips just a little bit higher than your knees, it provides often a more stable seat. From here, we're going to start our breath work. So I'm going to invite you for a moment to take one hand to your belly or your navel and one hand to your chest. And as your hands are on both your navel and your chest, we're going to start with a nice big out breath. You're welcome to even make that out breath a sigh if that's useful. And then together, let's start by breathing into the belly first, and then the ribs, and then the chest. And when you exhale, exhale from the chest to the ribs to the belly. Just a 3-part breath here. Take this as slowly or fast as you like. No rush. Just notice what feels useful for you in your body. Inhaling from belly to ribs to chest, and exhaling from chest to ribs to belly. Maybe find 2 of those on your own, just noticing that rise and fall from the bottom up, and in reverse from the top back down. Very similar to when we fill a cup, we start at the bottom until it is full and empty the same way from top down. And as you finish, if you'd like, maybe let your hands rest back at your knees or your heart. And from here, an invitation to check in once more. The opportunity to work with the subtle body today. Maybe shrugging your shoulders back into your ears, circling them forward and back, dropping your chin down to your chest, allowing yourself the opportunity to just notice once again what's in your body at this time. And as you come back to center after another breath or so, maybe add your hands at heart if you wish. Small bow if that's useful. But as you join your hands to heart center, the invitation to check in once more with an intention or mantra. If you've heard either of those words before, It's just an opportunity to dedicate your practice or return to a thought throughout your practice today. So if there is a word or a phrase that seems useful to you here, you're welcome to take it or bring it into your mind. And it could be something really simple, like the word peace. Or maybe there's a current goal or something that you've been bringing into your life and into this space. Your mat today, a reflection of that intention or mantra. That opportunity, again, to return to something useful to you or something to connect you to the present. After another moment here, we're going to return to our breath, and this time we're going to invite into this space a breath through our nose and back out. If you've ever taken breath like this before, it's a little unique, a little different. I'll try and guide and cue you throughout your practice today. But again, just returning to those inhales and exhales, I like to think of it as channeling the breath. We're not just taking it in like we do every day, but it's something a little different, something that uniquely connects our mind and body together. And if you'd like to practice this for a moment, maybe with your mouth just at ease and you at ease in your seat for a moment, let your tongue rest on the roof of the mouth so that each inhale and each exhale moves across and through that channel of the nose or the nasal passage. Perfect. I'll guide you through a practice. We'll use some blocks. If you find that using blocks in your practice is not as useful, or again, you don't have props, feel free to keep them out of your practice today. It's your body and your practice, so your choice as you move through. We'll begin first by bringing our right hand to our left shoulder. And with the right hand on the left shoulder, just checking in once more, but give yourself the opportunity to look out over the left side body, taking a breath in through the nose and back out. And eventually coming back through center, maybe give your gaze a turn over to the right. See if that is useful as well. Or notice any difference between the left and the right side. Come on back to center. Drop that right hand down when you're ready, and we'll switch sides, bringing the left hand to the right shoulder, gazing out first over the right side. In breath through the nose and back out. And eventually making your way to the left side. In breath through your nose and back out. We'll begin first by bringing our right hand to our left shoulder. And with the right hand on the left shoulder, just checking in once more, but give yourself the opportunity to look out over the left side body, taking a breath in through the nose and back out. And eventually coming back through center, maybe give your gaze a turn over to the right. See if that is useful as well. Or notice any difference between the left and the right side. Come on back to center. Drop that right hand down when you're ready, and we'll switch sides, bringing the left hand to the right shoulder, gazing out first over the right side. In breath through the nose and back out. And eventually making your way to the left side. In breath through your nose and back out. Dropping your left hand down when you're ready. Coming on back to center. We're going to take our hands back into prayer and find an in-breath out and up and overhead, and an exhale, bringing those palms back to center and back to heart. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhaling out and up, exhaling down to the heart. Inhaling out and up, and exhaling down to the heart. From here, bringing your hands to rest once more at your knees, slide the heart all the way forward, like you're trying to bring it forward to the front of the room. And then exhale, bring the back body to the back wall. Notice with each movement, inhaling forward and back, that there may be some rounding in your spine, and feel free to explore that space at your spine, at your chest, at your center. Gently flowing through inhales and exhales. Again, bringing the heart forward and back. After one more sequence, coming back to center, and then inhaling, bringing your chest and heart over the left side, all the way through to the front of the room, circling over to the right, and then once again to the back wall. We're going to keep moving in this direction, over the left, through the front of the room, over to the right, and the back wall. Big circles here. One more. As you come back to center, we'll switch directions, inhaling over the right, coming forward, finding the back wall, almost like we're trying to churn or stir up the center of the body with those big circles. Inhaling and exhaling. One more. Coming back to center. From here, if there's any shrugging or extra movement you need to kind of shift or come back to center in your seat, feel free to add it. And making your way into your most comfortable seat. Again, for just a moment, we're going to move through one forward fold sequence here. First, bringing the legs out in front of you, feel free to wiggle through toes, ankles, maybe draw some big circles here, forward and back, pedal them up and down. Again, just finding a lot of movement through the lower joints there. On your next breath, go ahead and flex your toes to the ceiling. Your legs are straight. It's as if something could press against your heels here. And as it's pressed against your heels and you're seated straight, we're going to bring our hands to our sides for just a moment. Inhale, arms out and up and overhead. Find prayer overhead. And exhale, pull it down into the heart. We're going to inhale and bring our arms out wide. And exhale, hinge forward at the hips, dropping the hands into a forward fold here. As you activate the heels just a bit and are forward folding, it's as if you could send your hips in one direction behind you and your crown or the top of your head in another. Again, deeply folded, deeply pressed. One or two more breaths. Just notice any sensation in the back body. Bring breath in through your nose and back out. Let that breath travel the length of the spine. Or just notice the spine from top to bottom as you take an in-breath and an out-breath. And then coming back through a seat on an in-breath. As you're ready, we're going to roll through toes and ankles, make some space, maybe even bounce out the lower legs a little bit here. And from this pose, feel free this next time, after pointing and flexing the toes a few times, coming back through, allow the feet to fall out gently. We're going to bring our hands to our sides again, but this time, drop the chin into the chest, and very gently as you start to walk your hands forward, allow your spine to round or curl out behind you. It's as if you could fully tuck down into your own chest, tucking down a little bit further, rolling a little bit deeper, whatever that looks like for you. Noticing the difference in the back body once again as you send a breath in through the nose. Imagine it traveling the length of the spine to your seat, and exhaling very much the same way. One or two more breaths just like this. Making your way gently back to center. On an inhale, you might unroll and unravel, chin to the chest maybe until the very end, the opportunity to stack the spine gently behind you. And once you come back into a seat, feel free to wiggle out toes and ankles, lower legs, and maybe even placing the hands behind you. Slightly bend the knees so the feet can rest just in front of your hips, and feel free to windshield wiper your knees back and forth here. After another breath or so with the knees windshield wipering gently, we're going to bring all our weight into our right hip and swing the legs behind us enough to transition all the rest of the way through to a tabletop. Tabletop is wrists under shoulders, palms wide on your mat. Knees under hips, and we're going to move through cat-cows. Before we move into some cat-cows, the opportunity once again with that blanket to bring it underneath your knees or your palms if you have wrist issues or it feels a little uncomfortable today to have your hands and all that weight directly on your wrists. The option here to use the props to bring the earth to you or to leave them to the side. With your hands underneath your shoulders and your knees under your hips, we'll move into cat-cows, allowing the belly to melt towards the earth for just a moment as we bring our gaze forward to the front of the room. We're just really soft here. And then on an out breath, again through the nose, gently draw the spine towards the ceiling. Just exploring a little bit at your center, your belly, your core, but mostly just noticing as you move through this sequence with breath, each inhale into cow or to melting towards the mat, and each exhale into cat, drawing the spine to the ceiling. The opportunity to check in once again with your body, your spine, your core, the experience in your body at this time. Notice where you might be tight, or notice that breath, again, traveling the length of the spine, moving into your belly. From here, after one more breath or so, one more shift, find that cow pose on an inhale. And on an out breath, walk the fingertips towards the knees. We'll find an out breath and rise out and up and overhead into a high thunderbolt pose. Exhaling, draw the hands down into the heart. In breath, bring the fingertips and palms out wide once again overhead. And this time, exhale, hinge forward down into child's pose. Palms on the mat, forehead towards the mat, and hips in the direction of your heels. Knees wide enough to make space here for your body and to feel comfortable in that child's pose. You're welcome to stay here or move through just a couple more sequences like this. Inhaling into tabletop, exhaling back, the hands towards the knees. In breath, reaching the arms out wide, up and overhead. Exhaling the palms and drawing them down into the heart. We'll in-breath and sweep them out and overhead once again. Exhale and hinge and fold, finding your child's pose. A full breath here again. You're welcome to stay or to continue. We'll move into that one more time. Inhaling through tabletop. Exhaling, walking the hands towards the knees. And in-breath, sweeping out and up and overhead. Exhaling, drawing it down into the heart space. And in-breath, reaching out and up and overhead. And exhale to hinge and fold, reaching into that child's pose once again. Once you find child's pose here, another breath in from the top, the crown, and drawing that breath down the body. Exhaling the same way. You're welcome to stay here, or if you'd like to try something a little different, exploring this space at your mat by bringing blocks underneath your palms. Pressing your palms across the blocks. You can do this with your palms slightly off the edge of the block or fully on the block, fingertips wide, but notice what's going to feel more useful to you, and make sure the blocks might be far enough back that you're not feeling too exerted or extended in your shoulders here. One full breath into the chest. If you'd like to take the blocks with you, walk them over to the left side of your mat briefly. Hips stay where they are, but reaching into those blocks and through that side body, just a little of an extension, especially underneath that right arm. Coming back through to center on your next breath, feel free to take the blocks with you out and over to the right. Same extension, hands on the blocks. Notice maybe any sensation underneath that left arm, a full breath down into the ribs. And after an out breath, you're welcome to walk the blocks back forward to the front of your mat. Set them gently to the side for a moment. As you come back through center, feel free to move gently through another series of cat-cows or back into a child's pose. Whether movement or stillness, something that feels best for you in this moment. A full breath here, and then very gently shifting on your next breath, we're going to transition to our back. So coming back through tabletop if you need to, or swinging your legs to the side, adjust your props, and once you find your back, an invitation to hug the knees towards the chest, maybe rock gently back and forth. Some small movement if that's useful. After another breath or so, we'll end by grabbing a block, a pillow, a blanket, anything that might be close, and gently placing it underneath the back of the hips with those knees still bent and feet placed gently underneath the knees. Bringing your arms out wide into a bit of a T shape, we'll exhale and cross the arms into a big hug, wrapping yourself into a hug here. For one full breath. And if you're in a seat, you're welcome to do the same thing with those arms reaching out wide, wrapping yourself in a nice big hug on the out breath, taking that full inhale and exhale here. Whether you're on your back or in your seat, next in breath, open those arms out wide into a T shape again. And exhale, bring the opposite arm on top. Again, this can be done from a seat or your back. And once you find that position again, taking another breath in through the nose and back out. And as you finish, bringing your arms back down to your sides, feel free to move the block or blanket or pillow. Once you come to your back, if you're still on your back and choose to take that, extending your legs all the way straight, arms at your sides, palms up. A few guided breaths and a small scan here through your body. If you're still in a seat, we'll move through the same type of scan, eyes open or closed, whichever feels more useful to you, and just starting briefly at your toes, bringing some awareness there. It's often said that where our awareness goes, our breath follows. So allowing some of that extra attention to the inhales and exhales to shift. We're now moving into more of the assimilation part of our practice. The space where we just allow the breath, the work that we've done, the reset to our body and nervous system to absorb, to have some time to move into the deepest places within that mind-body connection. After that awareness to the toes, travel up towards the ankles, the calves and knees, the legs and hips, into the low back and belly, mid-back, heart, shoulders, to the arms down through the elbows, finally wrists and fingers, ending somewhere around the back of the head and around the eyes, ears, and mouth. With each out-breath or moment that you're here, just feeling or noticing or checking into a sensation of rest or ease, inviting that back into this space, returning to that intention or mantra. Notice any shift, any change, anything that might feel a little different here on your mat compared to maybe when you started your practice. And from wherever you are, bringing hands to rest at your heart, maybe one on top of the other, whether in a seat or on your back, in honor and gratitude of your body, yourself, and that offering and practice at this time. Thank you for sharing that with me today. Namaste. Thank you for joining me on the mat today, and hopefully I'll see you here again.